What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Woo! Do we have an awesome one for you today. So last week we tackled a low-calorie recipe by Emma's Goodies. We'll be definitely revisiting that one with a higher protein version. But today we're gonna tackle a crazy food hack that seriously has been questioning the chemistry of ingredients. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are subscribed to Will Tennyson, and if you haven't subscribed to his channel, I would highly recommend doing so. But in one of his most recent videos, he took on a bunch of different food hacks, and this one in particular stood out like a sore thumb. More specifically, he tackled an epic brownie by Instagram handle lowcalorierecipes98 that involved good old Diet Coke. Now, I don't know about you, I'm super curious to see how this actually turns out and whether or not this is worthwhile making. And also, from an anabolic standpoint, how does it actually taste? And if you're new to the channel, I'm Jason Alexander, otherwise known as Jack. So make sure to smash that subscribe button for your weekly dose of content. Now, my channel covers everything from anabolic recipes to fun related fitness types of videos. And as a matter of fact, testing out food hacks like this is a first. So if you've got an idea for an interesting topic or another crazy food hack, shoot them in the comments below and I'll be sure to check them out. But otherwise, let's get into the recipe. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Make sure to have a bowl and a food scale. And now that we're preheating the oven to 350 degrees, we're gonna do 63 grams of a cocoa powder. 63 grams on the dot. All right, so 63 grams, that's quite a bit of cocoa powder, but next up we've got our protein. And the recipe definitely calls for chocolate protein, so don't mistake it for this. But I've only got cinnamon pastry, so we're gonna roll with this. And you guys know the deal, code Jason, 10% off. Save yourself some dollar bills. And then next up, we've got 45 to 60 grams of flour. Now, the recipe itself says the less flour you use, the more fudgier the brownies are gonna be. I particularly love more fudgy brownies, so we're gonna try and shoot for, let's try and shoot for 50. All right, we're looking pretty hefty here. So next up, we've got our sweetener. We're gonna go ahead and use Swerve confectioner sugar. I particularly like the confectioner just because it comes out way sweeter than your typical Swerve brown sugar and then also the granular sugar. So we're gonna do 135 grams. And we're almost there, guys. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. And then we got a pinch of salt. And then we've got the main attraction, Diet Coke. So we're gonna go ahead and use 360 grams of Diet Coke. This is super interesting. And here we are, guys. Batter is looking pretty solid. So we're gonna go ahead and toss this into a bread pan. Now the instructions offer an 8x8 pan. I've got a 10x6 pan, I believe. I've hit it with some nonstick spray. We're just gonna go ahead and dump this in. Now I love brownies and I can totally leave this recipe as is, but I personally love chocolate peanut butter brownies. There's nothing better than having chocolate and peanut butter in one. So I've got some PB Fit here and we're gonna go to town. And we're back, Jax fam. So this thing is straight out of the oven, piping hot, but I gotta tell you, this kitchen smells mighty fine. But otherwise, if you're new to the channel, we go through 3 categories, the anabolics, taste, and whether or not this is gonna satisfy your craving. So without further ado, let's get into the first category, anabolics. Damn, this sucker is thick. So in terms of total calories and macro breakdown for this bad boy right here, we're working with 967 total calories, and that's including the peanut butter that I've added. So in terms of fat, we are working with 19 grams of fat, 95 grams of protein, and 104 grams of carbs. What in the... Now in terms of serving sizes, I've gone ahead and cut this into 8 solid pieces, weighing in at roughly about 100 grams a piece. These things are super thick and dense. Now, if you take a look at your most popular brownies that are store-bought, whether that's at Kroger, at the bakery section, or picking up packaged goods like Little Debbie's, you're looking at a pretty weak nutritional profile, especially when compared to these. Now, in terms of your average brownie by Little Debbie, you're looking at a total of 280 calories with 11 grams of fat, along with 2 grams of protein and 42 grams of carbs. For those of you who have tried Little Debbie's brownies before, whether they've been the fudge brownies or the cosmic brownies, you know that they're pretty dense and also quite small. So for me, it's a pretty no-brainer. This thing is pretty epic. Now, when I break down the total calorie and macro breakdown for each slice, one of these, we're looking at a total of 120 total calories with 2 grams of fat, 12 grams of protein, and 13 grams of carbs. Now, for me, I absolutely love that breakdown in terms of the protein to fat ratio, and then also the protein to carbs ratio. For me, I don't mind the 1-to-1 ratio in terms of the protein and carbs. The biggest portion that I really value here is the protein to fat, because I think for most often store-bought, pre-packaged items, you're looking at a pretty hefty price tag, especially when it comes to the fat allocation. Now, what I love about the macro breakdown is that the protein and fats or the carbs aren't too far-fetched, right? There's not an exorbitant amount of protein, which I'm totally fine with. And at the same time, there's not a crazy amount of carbs or fats. For me, this is a pretty even keel recipe in terms of the nutritional value. Honestly, guys, I'm pretty impressed. Now, if the calorie and the macro breakdown is any indication on how this thing tastes, oh man, we're gonna be in a whole world of surprises. So I'm gonna go ahead and rate this as a solid 8.6. Now on to the best part, taste. But before we get into that, you know the deal. Let's get into a close-up. All right, check out this sucker here. So I think for the most part, what you guys are probably gonna see is that this thing looks like it's super rubbery or dried out. I can tell you right now, this thing is just absolutely a unit in terms of weight, and in terms of overall texture, it's not too bad. It's actually quite squishy. But you can also see here, we've got the dollop of peanut butter, swirls, and then also a pretty decent crust on the outside. And I ain't mad about that. Not gonna lie, guys, close-up looked pretty solid, but time for the taste test. Cheers. Wow, holy smokes. Yo, is that for real? Take a look at that. Biting into this sucker, that's like a straight fudge brownie. All right, so for those of you who have already tried this recipe, let me know in the comments below what your experience was, because these are freaking epic. I'm gonna go ahead and rate this as a solid 9. It's ridiculous. Based off of the texture and just what I'm seeing on the outside, I wasn't quite expecting just how fudgy and like thick and smooth this brownie was gonna be. Now, for those of you who are looking to try this recipe out, highly recommend putting in some peanut butter. Definitely level up some of the flavor. But in terms of overall flavor, this is really solid. Now, if you don't have a chocolate protein, just like I didn't have with me today, I don't taste any of that. And funny enough, I accidentally put in a little bit more Diet Coke than what the recipe called for. And I was expecting to get a little bit of that Diet Coke flavor from this. Seriously, nothing. Really, in terms of overall flavor profile, I get some pretty heavy dark chocolate. Sweetness level is really on point. So if you've got a protein powder that's already sweet, coupling that with 130 grams of a sweetener, you're gonna be in a pretty good spot. And then not to mention, you got the Diet Coke as well. But in terms of getting any type of Diet Coke flavor or a mix of the whey protein, since I use cinnamon pastry, are there any conflicting flavors? No, like I straight up just taste basically a fudge brownie with a little bit of peanut butter in it. Now, is this gonna satisfy your craving? Hell yeah! Yeah, this is gonna definitely satisfy your craving. Totally giving this a solid 9 in terms of craving scale. That's it, straight up done. You're gonna have to make this. There's no resemblance of anything being rubbery or even getting an aftertaste. At least that's what I'm experiencing right now, which is crazy. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up the 3 categories: anabolics, taste, and craving, for a total score of, damn, it's been a while since I did that, 8.8. Now, honestly, hands down, this is probably one of the best recipes that I've had in terms of brownies, and the flavor being really epic. Now, you can definitely level up outside of the chocolate with adding some peanut butter, adding some Nutella, adding some other awesome toppings to really give that burst of chocolate and some complexity to the overall flavor. So with that, definitely recommending this for you guys to try out. Well worth your time, and if you're ever craving something chocolatey, this should be a go-to recipe. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. I appreciate you guys tuning in to another anabolic recipe review. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button, and for all of you folks who got some awesome chocolatey goodness out of this video, be sure to give it a big fat thumbs up. But otherwise, appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, stay swole, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.